world is a dangerous place to live, not because of the people who are evil, but because of the people who don't do anything about it. Nothing that I can do will change the structure of the universe, but maybe, by raising my voice, I can help the greatest of all causes, goodwill among men and peace on earth. One must not attempt to justify them, but rather to sense their nature simply and clearly. We are all ruled in what we do by impulses, and these impulses are so organized that our actions in general serve for our self-preservation and that of the race. Common sense is the collection of prejudices acquired by age 18. It gives me great pleasure indeed to see the stubbornness of an incorrigible nonconformist warmly acclaimed. He who can no longer pause to wonder and stand wrapped in awe is as good as dead. His eyes are closed. The only thing that interferes with my learning is my education. It should be possible to explain the laws of physics to a barmaid. I know quite certainly that I myself have no special talent. Curiosity, obsession, and dogged endurance, combined with self-criticism, have brought me to my ideas. To know what is impenetrable to us really exists, manifesting itself as the highest wisdom and the most radiant beauty. This knowledge, this feeling is at the center of true religiousness. 100 times every day, I remind myself that my inner and outer life depend on the labors of other men, living and dead, and that I must exert myself in order to give in the same measure as I have received and am still receiving. The secret to creativity is knowing how to hide your sources. The legs are the wheels of creativity. The important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing. There's a genius in all of us. If you cannot explain it simply, you do not understand it well enough. If one were to take that goal out of its religious form and look merely at its purely human side, one might state it perhaps thus: free and responsible development of the individual, so that he may place his powers freely and gladly in the service of all mankind. At the same time, as social beings, we are moved in the relations with our fellow beings by such feelings as sympathy, pride, hate, need for power, pity, and so on. Intellectuals solve problems. Geniuses prevent them. The only real valuable thing is intuition. The words of language, as they are written or spoken, do not seem to play any role in my mechanism of thought. The physical entities which seem to serve as elements in thought are certain signs and more or less clear images. It is strange to be known so universally, and yet to be so lonely. Two things are infinite: the universe and human stupidity, and I'm not sure about the universe. They come into being not through demonstration, but through revelation, through the medium of powerful personalities. Imagination is more important than knowledge. In that way, imagination and intelligence enter into our existence in the part of servants of the primary instincts. To the master's honor, all must turn, each in its track, without a sound, forever tracing Newton's ground. It stands to the everlasting credit of science that by acting on the human mind, it has overcome man's insecurity before himself and before nature. Few people are capable of expressing with equanimity opinions which differ from the prejudices of their social environment. Most people are even incapable of forming such opinions. Every kind of peaceful cooperation among men is primarily based on mutual trust and only secondarily on institutions such as courts of justice and police. The only way to escape the personal corruption of praise is to go on working. Problems cannot be solved at the same level of awareness that created them. The most beautiful thing we can experience is the mysterious. It is the source of all true art. and all science. He to whom this emotion is a stranger, who can no longer pause to wonder and stand wrapped in awe, is as good as dead. His eyes are closed. Occurrences in this domain are beyond the reach of exact prediction, because of the variety of factors in operation, not because of any lack of order in nature. When you are courting a nice girl, an hour seems like a second. When you sit on a red-hot cinder, a second seems like an hour. That's relativity. The meek shall inherit the earth, but not its mineral rights. The high destiny of the individual is to serve rather than to rule. When the solution is simple, God is answering. Everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler. Solitude is painful when one is young, but delightful when one is more mature. My religion consists of a humble admiration of the illimitable superior spirit who reveals himself in the slight details we are able to perceive with our frail and feeble mind. The real difficulty, the difficulty which has baffled the sages of all times, is rather this: how can we make our teaching so potent in the emotional life of man, that its influence should withstand the pressure of the elemental psychic forces in the individual? It is theory that decides what can be observed. I want to know God's thoughts. The rest are details. I am convinced that God does not play dice. Science, without religion, is lame. Religion without science is blind. Peace cannot be kept by force. It can only be achieved by understanding. All these constructions and the laws connecting them can be arrived at by the principle of looking for the mathematically simplest concepts and the link between them. Whoever undertakes to set himself up as judge in the field of truth and knowledge is shipwrecked by the laughter of the gods. Try not to become a man of success, but rather try to become a man of value. To understand the world, one must not be worrying about oneself. Any intelligent fool can make things bigger, more complex, and more violent. It takes a touch of genius and a lot of courage to move in the opposite direction.